January 22nd, 2026, Ubisoft lost 10.6 billion euros in a single day, not over a quarter, not over a year, one day. Their stock crashed 34% before lunch.
I didn't think it was possible to have even less faith in Ubisoft than before, but here we are.
That's more money than the entire value of CD Projekt Red, the studio that made The Witcher. Just gone. Evaporated. And the reason? A report from their own CEO titled Major Organizational, Operational, and Portfolio Reset, 6 games cancelled, 7 delayed, 2 studios closed, hundreds fired, and what's the plan to fix it? AI. That's it. That's the plan. Fire the humans, replace them with AI, and hope nobody notices. Today, we're breaking down how one of gaming's biggest names went from making some of the most iconic games in history to betting its entire future on AI chatbots that nobody asked for. To understand how bad things have gotten, you need to understand how good they used to be. Ubisoft wasn't built in a boardroom. It was started in 1986 by 5 brothers, Christian, Claude, Gérard, Michel, and Yves Guillemot, from a small farming family in Brittany, France. With seed money from their mother, they left the agriculture business and bet everything on computer technology. That bet paid off. By 1995, they had their first breakout character, Rayman, an armless platforming hero that became a beloved mascot. Then came a licensing deal with thriller author Tom Clancy, which gave them the rights to his military fiction. That deal produced Splinter Cell, Ghost Recon, and Rainbow Six games that literally shaped what modern shooters look like today. The 2000s and 2010s, Ubisoft was untouchable. Prince of Persia, Assassin's Creed, Far Cry. These weren't just games, they were cultural moments. They were also acquiring smaller studios and growing into a true gaming empire. At their peak in 2022, Ubisoft had over 20,000 employees worldwide. So, what went wrong? It started with broken promises. Watch Dogs was announced at E3 2012 with a jaw-dropping demo, a living city, hacking everything, full player control. It looked like the future, but when the next demo dropped in 2013, players immediately noticed. The game looked completely different. Downgraded visuals, stripped features. Gamers felt lied to. CEO Yves Guillemot issued a public apology. He promised more clarity and honesty going forward. That promise lasted about 5 minutes. The Division launched with the same hype then disappointment formula, and this time came loaded with microtransactions. Microtransactions, by the way, are when a game charges you extra money for items inside a game you already paid full price for. Think of buying a movie ticket and then paying extra to see the second half. Players hated it, and Ubisoft didn't even apologize this time. Assassin's Creed Valhalla and Odyssey had the same problem. Fans suspected gameplay was deliberately slow and annoying to push people toward paying extra just to make progress. It's sometimes called a pay-to-win model, where spending real money gives you a game advantage. The message was becoming clear. Ubisoft no longer thought about the player first. While all this was happening publicly, there was a brutal war going on behind closed doors. In 2015, Vivendi, a massive French media conglomerate, basically a corporate empire that owns everything from TV channels to music labels, started quietly buying up Ubisoft shares. French law says that if you own 30% of a company's stock, you legally have to make an offer to buy the whole company. So, Ubisoft was watching their ownership percentage climb and getting increasingly nervous. By December 2016, Vivendi had 25.15%, less than 5 points away from that 30% threshold. Yves Guillemot called in every favor he had. He found other investors to buy up shares and dilute Vivendi's control. It worked, but it came at a cost. To fend off one predator, Ubisoft had invited in a dozen smaller ones. One of those new investors was Tencent, the Chinese tech giant that is now the world's largest video game company by revenue. Suddenly, Ubisoft had a lot more people to answer to. And with more shareholders demanding returns, the pressure to make quick money intensified. So naturally, they decided to get into NFTs. NFTs, or non-fungible tokens, were digital items, like game skin or outfit, that you could buy using cryptocurrency. The pitch was true digital ownership. In practice, it was just another way to charge players extra for stuff that used to be free. Ubisoft launched Ubisoft Quartz in 2021, and the response from the gaming community was so negative it became a running joke. Their own developers publicly trashed it. But here's the thing about Ubisoft: the worse the reception, the harder they doubled down. By 2020, it wasn't just bad business decisions, it was something much uglier. The hashtag #MeToo movement hit the gaming industry hard that summer, and Ubisoft was one of the most exposed companies. Decades of sexual harassment and predatory behavior in senior leadership were brought to light. The French newspaper Liberation reported that Ubisoft's own HR department had been actively burying these complaints, protecting senior staff, while victims were silenced. Multiple high-profile executives were forced out, employees staged mass walkouts, and Yves Guillemot's handling of the situation, slow, corporate, and defensive, only made things worse. Around the same time, a mobile game called Tom Clancy's Elite Squad launched a trailer where the villain faction's logo was identical to a real racial justice organization. It was a PR disaster, and it happened under the nose of one of the founding family's own members. The company was falling apart from inside. 2024 was the year things became impossible to spin. Skull and Bones is a pirate game that had been in development for 11 years and cost over $100 million, launched to brutal reviews. Ubisoft had even called it a quadruple A game, basically claiming it was so ambitious it deserved a whole extra A in its rating. Players called it an overpriced, empty live service mess. A live service game, by the way, is one designed to keep you playing and paying forever, rather than giving you a complete story you can finish. Then Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora underperformed. X-Defiant, their free-to-play shooter, was shut down completely. Star Wars Outlaws missed targets. Assassin's Creed Shadows was delayed 4 months. Studios started closing. Ubisoft San Francisco, Ubisoft Osaka. By September 2024, Tencent and the Guillemot family were reportedly considering selling Ubisoft to private equity, meaning outside investors who would likely strip the company down for parts. Then in November 2025, Ubisoft did something that sent panic through the markets. They delayed their own financial report and blocked shareholders from selling their stock during that delay. That move, designed to prevent unnecessary speculation, did the exact opposite. When the report finally came out, it confirmed what everyone feared. The workforce had been cut from 20,300 employees in 2022 to just over 17,000 by late 2025. And that was before the January 2026 crash. So here we are. The company is on fire. The question is, what do you do? The solution of Ubisoft: lay off additional staff and in place of them, install AI.
Instead of leadership taking accountability, the leadership at Ubisoft have to make up for their own failures and their own lack of vision by firing the people who helped make the games under their directive.
In January 2026, having canceled 6 games and postponed 7 others, Yves Guillemot appeared before investors and basically told them the future is generative AI. He declared an experiment known as Teammates, a prototype in which AI-controlled NPCs, the computer-controlled characters in a game, is able to react to your voice in real time. You address them in a way that is like actual teammates. They follow whatever your plan is, whatever your temper is, even your lingo. The team of 80 constructed the project using Google Gemini with in-house middleware, which was running on the Ubisoft Snowdrop engine Hypebeast, which runs their largest games. And Guillemot did not cease there. He informed investors, it is the equivalent of a revolution in our industry, going to 3D. Let that sink in. Arguably, the largest technological advancement in the history of gaming is the transition of 2D to 3D graphics, which happened in the late 90s. Super Mario as a 2-dimensional character becoming a full 3-dimensional world. That was an actual revolution. Guillemot is implying that AI NPCs are that good. Gamers did not agree.
Ubisoft is showing off AI NPCs that can talk to you in real time. The company calls the project its first player-facing generative AI prototype that could transform the way players interact with non-playable characters in video games.
Other fans responded by requesting Ubisoft to indicate which of its games are generated in AI so they can avoid them, which, assuming that Guillemot is correct, That AI is employed in every studio would mean avoiding Ubisoft altogether. In the meantime, Ubisoft had acknowledged that 1,500 workers had exited the company over the last 12 months, and it intends to reduce fixed costs by at least 100 million in the next 2 years. And then the trend is obvious: dismember human creators, spend money on AI, and name it innovation. Guillemot maintains that humans will continue to control storytelling, and that the idea is to relieve the workload on the developers, not creativity. Notebook check. But industry analysts and creators are not persuaded by themselves. The politics of retrenching 1,500 employees as you declare that you are going to bet the company on AI is not very good. This is what makes the Ubisoft story depressing. This wasn't inevitable. These were individuals who constructed Rayman in a French manner, who created Assassin's Creed 2, which is one of the best games ever to be created, who shaped entire genres. Somehow in the process, the quest to get shareholder returns substituted the quest to get great games. Game design was substituted by microtransactions. The trends of NFTs substituted the trust of the players. And now, AI is becoming the substitute of human creativity that initially made the company worth anything at all. Ubisoft isn't dead yet, but it is not the Ubisoft that anyone in love fell in love with either. And in the case, the plan by their own CEO is to replace the artists with chatbots. Perhaps you do not even need to ask the question as to whether Ubisoft will survive. Perhaps it is whether it has a right.